And now, time to get in the huddle with your host, Charles Prodigy Richey, here on the Masteel Podcast.
This thing belongs to Mr. Roney, belongs here. Let's see if we can bring this damn thing back here next year, along with the Super Bowl. Here we go.
The game is over. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it the hard way.
With the 10th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Devin Bush, linebacker, Michigan.
And welcome everybody to another yet edition of the Masteel Podcast here with me, Charles Prodigy Richey. And I know I missed out yesterday, but I want to just wish those of you yesterday happy belated Cinco de Mayo, as we are in May right now. Some beautiful sunny weather over here in the Chi-Town, as I am coming to live as usual from Chicago, Illinois, southeast side. Get ready to bring with you another edition here of the Masteel Podcast. If you guys want to feel free or call or text into the show. Again, my number to be reached directly into the show is 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. You can also follow me on my social media, on my Twitter and Instagram, at Prodigy Richey, at OnDeckCSR, at Masteel Nation. And there's a slight difference for the Masteel Podcast on Twitter. It is at MasteelCJR. I'm currently streaming live off my YouTube live channel, Men a Steel Podcast, as we look to get into things right now. And then you can also check me out on Anchor and Spotify, Crunch Time with Charles Prodigy Richey, as well as Mixcloud, Charles Prodigy Richey, as we got a lot to get in here. Like I said, we got some post-draft power rankings, plus NFL Insider on Fox, Jay Glazer, who's also a contributor for The Athletic, had some interesting comments to make about Ben Roethlisberger right now, as he is recouping in the offseason. Should we be concerned? We'll get to that towards the end of the show. I also put up a poll, which we finally had the results, which I'll reveal towards the end of the show. Again, if you guys want to dial or text in, feel free. It is 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. I hope everyone's having a great day right now, as we are counting down right now. And the pulse of the league right now, and I was listening earlier on 93.7 The Fan, according to John Clayton, who actually was on there earlier today. And he was actually talking about how the owners feel a little bit good, more than 50-50 feel that the regular season should be starting on time. And not only that, it'll finish on time. But we may still see possibly a February 28th Super Bowl. Plans right now, I mean, they're looking at expanding it to a 12-game schedule less than it, excuse me. So we may not see the full 17-game schedule. They may have to cut some games back. And one interesting note I also found by this, too, was that you'd also be looking at the fact, too, instead of playing your regular interconference games, Steelers might be facing their out-of-conference opponents. Remember, this year in the NFC, they'll be facing the NFC East, which I find pretty interesting right there. And I would be interested to see how that would pan out. But yeah, a lot of those things to really take into consideration over here as we go into the new league year and everything going on. And I just really feel like right now you got a lot of stuff riding on this as we look at it. And like I said, owners could feel as confident as they want, like John Clayton said, but at the same time, too, you never know what could happen. This is a very touchy situation here with the coronavirus. I mean, we already just saw Korean baseball, I think, just get back up, and I think they already had some issues already coming up where they had to cease. But, I mean, you still also got sports, like we all know, that you got golf, you got NASCAR around. That is trying to get back into the swing of things. And there you have it. So you got to really ponder a lot what's really at stake here. What do we know? How closely everyone will be working with the healthcare officials here. And that's the only thing they could do. It's just it's not really the best right now, but at the same time too, we also look at and we think right now it's that things are going to hopefully get back to normal. I'm pretty optimistic. We'll have to stretch some things where it's looking at and debate where it's with the NBA or the NHL. I mean, in that matter, I mean, both leagues trying to finish up their seasons, but having some real interesting consequences for next season start. I mean, for example, you're looking at the NBA right now where you'd be looking as far as like maybe around February or December. The ideal is to have the season finished by end of July, NBA Finals. But, I mean, that's still even unknown right now. I mean, a lot of owners right now, I mean, the biggest question is, too, I mean, when we also look into this pandemic, I'm sure a lot of people have been hearing across as well, if we do get some sports action returned, how many neutral sites are going to be involved? Are the Steelers going to be having to play in a different stadium aside from Heinz Field? Are they going to have to play somewhere else altogether? I mean, it's a lot more stuff they have to do. They have to dot their I's and cross their T's on this. But what other choice you got? I mean, can we see possibly where the Steelers may have to play in indoor stadiums with retractable roofs? I mean, where would they go? Would they possibly play somewhere like Houston and Arizona? I mean, these are all legitimate questions we all have to take into consideration. This is all that's on the table right now as we ponder how live sports, if and any, is going to get back in time. So let's get into the elephant in the room, like I just addressed a moment ago. Jay Glazer, I'm talking about none other. As he, right now, there was a question that was in the Athletic mailbag, and this is a question coming from a fan on here, and he said, he was asking Jay, like, based on how good the Steelers' defense looked, I mean, last year, and they're pretty low going to this season. I mean, of course, with the offense being the weak link, if Ben Roethlisberger can return back to 85%, how much effective do you think the Steelers could be? And here's Jay's answer. He said, first of all, let's not put the words fitness and Ben Roethlisberger together. They are allergic to each other. There is no fitness in Ben Roethlisberger. His idea of a great offseason workout program is doing one yoga session, playing golf, and drink some beer. However, yes, what Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger have done there has been incredible. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want fans of other cities to realize that. Never had a losing season since he's been with Pittsburgh. Despite injuries, and they are obviously not the most aggressive team when it comes to free agency, having Le'Veon Bell holding out, the Antonio Brown situation, it's incredible. He's changed coordinators, gone through offensive coaches, defensive coordinators, but the dude has never had a losing season. Don't sleep on them ever. I think the only thing I find a little interesting is just the work ethic right there, because even Ben Roethlisberger who was in touch with Ron Cook too back in late March, was even expressed to him how people actually were concerned about calling him fat or whatever. He said, I've heard people say I'm fat, and that just blows my mind, he said. I'm lighter and in better shape than I was in either of the past 2 years. I haven't stopped working out. I normally don't work out in the off season, but I've been doing everything 5 days a week with my trainer. I'm sure a lot of people just saw that was posted on social media. He was with a live grizzly bear, it appeared, that he was standing next to. And I understand. I mean, there's a lot of cautious right now and some critics right there. When you got a guy who signed a new 3-year deal last year, and you finally got all the distractions out of your hair, got the team to yourself. Granted, he had to do a lot more work last year, starting off with the chemistry of the offense, even though it was barely 2 games in. The problem is what we find is Ben Roethlisberger does have a tendency to have some question marks at times in his career. Let's be honest. Where it's throwing some crucial turnovers, but at the same time, too, he's still one of those guys that can make you or break you in the Steelers' game plan at the end of the day as a fan. I mean, he's still got a lot to prove. He's got to at least win another Super Bowl, I think, to officially be a no-doubt first ballot Hall of Famer. He's already a Hall of Famer right now. Let's just call it what it is with the numbers and all the winning success he's did. His numbers rank right up there with his draft class and Eli and Rivers. But, I mean, you also look at another guy, too, who actually got drafted a year later, Aaron Rodgers. This guy's already got about 448 sacks right now. I mean, in his career, 428, 448 was around that number line. This guy right now, who's had a bad offensive line in Green Bay, if he doesn't get out of there within the next 3 years, he's getting ready to become the highest sack quarterback in the history of the NFL. I mean, say what you will about Ben Roethlisberger, and I know there's been some rumors flowing around too about like, well, what about having Aaron Rodgers come over to the Steelers? First of all, if you guys want to know my stance on that, having Aaron Rodgers, I'm not so sure if I want him in a Steelers uniform. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like his attitude. Don't get me wrong, he's still a great quarterback, named to an all-decade team, multiple MVP winner. But when the chips are on the table at the end of the day, you've only been to one Super Bowl appearance and has only gotten far to the NFC Championship game. You've had your players with guys with the likes of Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, Eddie Lacy for a brief period of time. You had him for about, 4 seasons, I want to say, not if. Then on defense, you even had Julius Peppers, Clay Matthews, even Charles Davis briefly, who actually was a big instrumental part in winning that Super Bowl, even though he got injured in that game. These are things we need to keep in mind when we think about the great quarterbacks. And right now, it's hard to win more than one. I mean, basically, right now, you've only gotten 3 guys that have won 2 right now, aside from Tom Brady. Which being the first one, which was Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning, and then his older brother, Peyton. Ridiculous. No. I'm not wanting Rodgers in a Steeler uniform. I'm not wanting to see the next great number 12. Well, he's at the end of his road right there. Plus, I mean, the thing is, you also got to realize, too, the Steelers salary cap situation, can you honestly see them making a ridiculous amount of cap clearance for a guy like Rodgers or trying to talk him into a discount to come play for the Steelers? I'm not sure about that. You got to open up the wall on this guy. I mean, or someone's going to have to take a chunk of what he's going to be old. I just don't see that being realistic. And that's why I know a lot of people, you start to wonder, well, why didn't you get a veteran quarterback after seeing what fans and people across the NFL realm seeing when Mason Rudolph blew up with Myles Garrett? And he did come back after being benched against the Bengals and was back against the Jets. But at the end of the day, here's the bottom line. he seems like he's a guy who wants to break down a little bit, and he has his own little flaws. If anything, I would wait. I would slam the brakes on even considering having a guy like Aaron Rodgers. I want to hear your thoughts on this on the Man of Steel podcast as we're coming to you live right here at the 7 p.m. Central Standard Time start. Feel free to shoot me your questions right now. If you guys want to dial in right now or send me a text, please do so. It is 312-209-2232. Again, that number to be reached is 312-209-2232. We are talking Steelers post-draft and NFL post-power rankings. Post-draft power rankings right here on the Man of Steel podcast, as I am also the host of On Deck, which you can hear me every Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m. with me and DJ Coleman, a.k.a. Reese the Ruler. We also got like another podcast that we're doing live throughout the week on Tuesdays, covering the Bulls' last dance. Aside from football, I hope everyone's been getting to enjoy that documentary, whether you're from Chicago or whether you're a Michael Jordan fan. I hope everyone's been enjoying that. It's especially special here for me being from Chicago and having to grow up, see him win those 6 titles right there, especially the last 3 from my realistic memory. I missed out on the first 3 and the totally different stuff that was gauging my mind. But it's some real good stuff to fill the time right now. And like I said, I hope everyone's continuing to stay safe right now during this time and find a way to continue to practice social distancing. Enjoy this beautiful weather, but enjoy it in safe practice. The only thing I did I've just been doing some nice little jogging the last few days. So as far as the extent as it went for me. So let's get into the NFL power rankings right now from ESPN. And here we go. As we look at it, the Steelers right now are not in the top 10. They are 14th in the power rankings since the post-2020 NFL draft. As we get ready to look at things here. And the reason why the Steelers are 14th, here's the biggest reason why, and this is an article written on ESPN.com. We don't have a writer on here. It's just from ESPN, NFL Nation, ESPN. NFL and ESPN in my mind at the end of the day. But here's the exact quote right now. The quarterbacks came away from the draft with new playmakers and more job security. Ben Roethlisberger got Martavis Bryant 2.0 with the selection of wide receiver Chase Claypool. Since they didn't draft the quarterback first, solidifying Rudolph's job as a backup and potential heir apparent whenever Roethlisberger retires. Rudolph had a rocky 2019 season, but the team believes in developing him with the help of new quarterback coach Matt Canada. All the moves that they believe Roethlisberger will be at full strength whenever the season starts, and they want to make his job as easy as possible, according to Brooke Pryor. End quote. So, that's a pretty decent, significant stance right there. I'm not so sure about Matt Canada. How much is he going to develop Rudolph? I think Rudolph has got to learn to win the mental battle as far as I'm concerned in his next step of his NFL career. Because I have some good friends of mine close by make some great points. It's like if you're reacting to this over racial controversy, what's going to happen when something is much more worse said to him or if he's on the field? You got to really learn to just separate those things. And obviously, vice versa, too. Whenever something's to be claimed at him for being in the news or the headlines for the good or wrong reasons, of course, he's going to have to own up to a lot of things. And I feel like he did a poor job of owning up, even if he said it or not. Again, I understand the timing of that story when it was said by Myles Garrett. But at the end of the day, it still looks weak on a guy like Rudolph. And he's got a lot more stuff to really learn as far as developing that aspect of his career. And also, let's take a look at the AFC North power rankings right now. So you got Baltimore Ravens. They are number 2 overall since the draft, So that make them number one in the division. Then we also got, let's see, the Browns and the Bengals here. Browns are ranked 20th, while the Cincinnati Bengals are 30th in their post-free agency ranking. And that's a mouthful right there. I mean, I thought the Browns had some decent picks as well when you look at this year's draft. I mean, you have a decent guard in here. We're going to get to the names here in just a second. But, I mean, I really felt like right now, I mean, the Ravens, I think, stole the draft in my eyes. I felt like they had the number one overall. Not only do you got a mean running game, I mean, with Dobbins, then, of course, I mean, you got Marquise Brown, Antonio Brown's cousin on there. But, I mean, you look at what everyone has been doing here, and, man, it's been really incredible for them. I think the biggest guy I would like on the Ravens, to be honest with you, if I had my perspective, I'd say I like Patrick Queen a lot more. And then, obviously, of course, you got Joe Burrow right now, who seems like he's starting to settle in with the Bengals. Seems like he's being – I mean, obviously, they are highly praiseful of him right now, making him feel comfortable. I mean, being in his home state of Ohio. So it seems like it's not as bad at first when he didn't not want to be a part of the organization when it was going into the draft. He was preferring to be somewhere else. But, I mean, those are the things right there we have to look at. Because as far as, like, the Browns, too, I mean, you look at their very first pick. He had an offensive tackle, Jedrick Willis of Alabama right here. I mean, that was a good pick by the Browns in the first round. Then you also look at one of their second picks that they traded up for. You got Grant Delpit, safety out of LSU. And I got to tell you right now, I mean, the Browns, to their credit, they built up some mean draft capital the last few years, and they've been sticking with the process, almost kind of like the 76ers doing in Philadelphia. And you got to wonder at some point right now, because there was also a bigger question, too, that was brought up on ESPN. Who's a bigger threat to the Ravens in the AFC North? And it came down to the two main teams aside from the Ravens, the Steelers and the Browns. No disrespect to the Bengals. I mean, you're going into your second year post-Marvin Lewis era right now. And you got to see how the coach handles things in that situation. I really do believe the Steelers still have the edge. Yes, the Browns, at some point, you got to get better. But the Steelers, they just got to figure out a way, if for some reason, they got to cross that bridge again with them playing hurt or not being available. You better darn sure believe that they're going to have to figure out a way to reformulate, regroup, and to just not run out of gas. Everyone saw what happened toward the end of the season when Mike Tomlin was pushing all the right buttons, motivating people up, playing the most intense defense we haven't seen in a long time, getting takeaways for scores, find ways to be recreative in the offense somehow. Eventually, they just ran out of gas. Got to see their first shocking loss in the color rush uniforms against the Bills. I mean, one can make the argument in their first color rush game of that year against the Dolphins on Monday Night Football, they almost lost that game right there. And I think they were down by like double digits in the first half, before they slowly started cutting into the deficit. You look at all that right there, and you start to think right now, I mean, the endurance level. That's where I get concerned with. If I'm a Steeler fan, and I'm doing this wisely here, I want to see right now what happens as far as like finishing down the stretch. I think that is the biggest key more than anything. And you have to look at right now when you got a couple of guys right now who are entering the final years of their rookie contracts, who we always been hearing all along throughout this time, where it's James Conner, Juju Smith-Schuster, those guys right here. I mean, how much is Eric Ebron going to step in there and help alleviate some of that pressure, and help carry some of the load off them? I mean, will Juju Smith-Schuster return back into the slot receiving role this year? Like I said, it's a lot of dicey stuff right now on the table here as we look into this. But I definitely do feel right now I'm okay with the draft ranking position right now with where they're at, being ranked 14th. And we'll hit up into that again at Fair or Foul. We'll recap into it. But right now, let's give you some updated jersey updates that was posted on the Steelers' social media pages, and particularly on their Instagram, as we found out all their free agency acquisitions, including their newest draft pick members going into here. And let's take a look at right now the number updates. And here we go. Tight end Eric Ebron, he'll be number 85. Fullback Derek Watt, number 44. Center and left guard Stefan Wisniewski, number 61. Nose tackle Chris Wormley, number 95. Now the draft picks. Wide receiver Chase Claypool, number 11. Outside linebacker Alex Highsmith, number 56. Here's a good one that I think that's going to raise a lot of eyebrows right now. I don't know about you, Steeler Nation, but you got right now Anthony McFarland. Can anyone take a shot in the dark right now and just humor me right now? Which number do you obviously feel like he's getting this year? That's the most obvious answer right now. I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds right now. Take a moment. Feel free to leave it in the comment section. I want to hear your comments, your reactions. What number do you feel that you believe that Anthony McFarland is wearing? If you haven't seen the Steelers' social media pages on Instagram and on their Facebook, more particularly their Instagram page at Steelers, which number do you think? And I think it's a real interesting one. It's definitely a legendary. I mean, it's definitely a classic number when you think of a lot of people in here who's worn that. And so we take a look at everything here going into this season. And let's look at it. All right, you guys ready? All right. Number 26. So does anyone got a little special feeling about McFarland, even though he missed out on Dobbins? How do you guys feel about that? Number 26 being worn. Very old familiar friend right there. Can we possibly be seeing another bell cow up in the making? No pun intended. But I'd be really interested to see how that works out, how that shapes itself out as we go into this season. I'm not so sure, but I will say right now, as we look at it, definitely some real interesting times right now as we look at it. Let's continue with some more numbers here. The last three. Guard Kevin Dotson, he'll be wearing number 69. Oh, by the way, Wisniewski, he wore that was prior teams. And I believe when he came over, let's see, Wisniewski. Very familiar number. He's worn this with his prior football teams. Trying to pull that up here. But we'll get to that in just a second. Oh, here we go. So he's worn that when he was last as a member of the Eagles, Super Bowl champion Eagles, by the way, too. He also wore it with the Jaguars and the Chiefs and the Raiders. We also got guard Kevin Dotson, number 69. Strong safety / linebacker Antoine Brooks, number 25. And last but not least, defensive tackle Carlos Davis, 73. So again, we got number 85 for Eric Ebron, 44 for Derek Watt, 61 for Stefan Wisniewski, 95 for Chris Wormley, number 11 for Chase Claypool, 56 for Alex Highsmith, 26 for Anthony McFarland, 69 for Kevin Dotson, 25 for Antoine Brooks, and 73 for Carlos Davis. And there you have it. And that's how we look heading into that situation right there. Those are the new numbers. Well, here are your comments, your thoughts as we're continuing here on the Men of Steel podcast. We got a few minutes left. Now let's get ready to shoot into some fair or foul right now. And I posted up a little tweet a few days ago. This was back on my Twitter page as we look at it. And here we go. I posted up a tweet on Sunday, and the voting has officially ended. And here we go. With the Steelers not pursuing a veteran quarterback behind Ben Roethlisberger, the votes are in. We got 13 votes total. 46% of you voted that you're calm, 23% are concerned, and 31% of people are in a panic right now. And that's where we stand since the Steelers did not sign or even draft a suitor for Ben Roethlisberger, a legitimate number 2 backup. I know there's been a lot of cheeks in the armor with Mason Rudolph, but yeah, it's definitely a lot more people are feeling majority concerned, and I don't blame them. This is right now where you don't know. I mean, if Ben's going to even come back at all. I mean, if he even plays this season. That's why. And do you have – so let's fair or foul right now. With Ben Roethlisberger's offseason workout conditioning, him taking a picture with Bear and the way he's working out, the way Jay Glazer ripped into him, fair or foul right now that Ben Roethlisberger's work ethic is going to come back and bite him once again this season. Fair or foul? I will have to say fair, only because mainly it's a throwing elbow. You got 2 more years left on your deal. If you even play this season, if the season is going to still find a way to be played. If that does happen, what happens to guys like him and Kevin Colbert? Do they get an extra year extension for not having a season? I mean, these are all legitimate things that are on the table right now as we think about where this team has to be and what kind of tone they want to set. And it's not something like turn a blind eye on, like I said. You got to realize this has been a big game changer for this franchise ever since being drafted. It's number 1 in a lot of categories here, and it's just someone I'm not so sure right now if they're even so sure about where they're going to be at. Just seems like they're just rolling the dice because like what he's contributed over the years, they're giving him the benefit of the doubt. And they should. I mean, it's nothing too wrong in that, but I do believe right now they are in if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's broke, fix it mentality. That's where we look at it, and this is how it comes to light in a lot of ways here. And let's just hold our breath on that. Also, fair or foul topic number 2. We agree with ESPN's power rankings of Steelers being 14th. Should they be higher on here on that ranking? No, I'm just going to say this right. I'm going to say this right now. It is fair. I have no issue with it whatsoever. I really believe the way they finished last season and what they're going to right now with a lot of lingering concerns. Because trust me, At the end of the day, Ben Roethlisberger, no matter where he's at in his career, any loss of time for a significant amount of time, not your typical, your couple weeks or about up to a month layoff. This is nothing. You just blink over that easily. Nothing. You cannot be this calm. And like I said, I'm giving him a little bit of slack only because what he's had to endure. I just want to see him get up in good spirits and just wash away all the nonsense that he's been a bad teammate or all the stuff that's been leveled at him. I mean, the last three years. Don't get me wrong. He's put a lot of this on himself at times. I mean, where it's doing interviews on 93 to 7 The Fan, ripping his teammates were running wrong routes or whatever the case may be, however you want to last remember the guy when he was under center. I mean, those are still significantly important. Or even a time when you had, I think it was Josh Dobbs who filled in for Ben in that Raiders game on the road in Oakland. He could still make or break this team, no doubt about it. And hopefully we do hear some more exciting news as far as the NFL season. I mean, it's a lot of doubt right now, but there's still also a significant amount of hope with this year. And I think a lot of people in the league are feeling like they could still pick this up and find a way to turn the page. And they'll find a way to keep going here. It'll be business as usual. I'm sure that's what they're thinking now, but like John Clayton said earlier, that's one thing they think it'd be now, but it's another thing they think significantly for down the road. So that's going to do it for this edition here of the Metal Steel Podcast. I want to say thank you to those of you taking the time to tune in during this time right now. As we're getting ready to count down, we're a month and a half away from countdown to summer of football, if we see any this year. So that's going to be some fun stuff, some fun topics as we look into it. And I really believe right now, just stay calm, cool, and collected, because we are starting to see some signs of sports trying to hop back up in the saddle and kick things back into gear little by little. So, as always, leave you. Don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I gone.